Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Spending Time podcast. My name is Michael Penate, and I'm joined by who this time?
Bilal Khan, the managing editor of aBlogtoWatch. How's it going, Michael?
It's going well. It's a nice gloomy day in Seattle.
Yep.
How are things in LA?
It is pouring rain and it's miserable out. So not great, but at least we're not on the East Coast, which is getting slammed with some crazy storm.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to the East Coast anymore.
Yeah, me neither, for the most part. I'm done with it.
Not since moving.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be fun because this episode is going to sort of revisit a topic that was on the podcast once before. And it's the idea of picking up your first mechanical watch. And Ariel and David had some stories to share. Those were a lot of fun. You guys should check out that older episode if you haven't already. But we're specifically going to talk about great options for first mechanical watches in a couple of different price ranges. We're going to do under 500, between 500 and 1500. And then the third one is just going to be a fun wild card. And in the process, we're going to talk about our first timepieces and what it was like kind of exploring different price ranges and picking up the first watch. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. I'm actually holding my first watch in my hands right now. It's off the bracelet. I can't find any of the parts. It's really just like a watch face, which is really a travesty because I hold this watch in such high regard. But you would never tell from seeing it. But I got it was a Omega Speedmaster triple date. It's the blue face one. I don't know why I got this watch, but I just was obsessed with it, and I think I got it for something like just 15 or 1600 bucks, and I loved it. And
I think I see it. Is that the one with the pointer date, blue dial?
Yeah.
I see it. Cool.
Yeah. And, I think I was trying to change out the bracelet for a NATO strap and just kind of broke it and put it in a drawer, which is a sad story. But I love this watch, and it's not the ideal first watch, I'd say, because things I was not considering was how much is a triple date chronograph going to cost to service, and the price is something like $700 if you do it through Omega, and something like $400 or $500 through like a third party guy, because it's such a complicated movement to service. So I kind of just got screwed with it.
So you still haven't serviced it?
No, I really should. Every time I see it, it's just like a failure on my part. I'm just like, what did I do to you? It's like the first child
it's a nice
that you
watch.
kind of... Yeah, I love it, but it's just like that first kid who just hates you and you just like can't talk to them. That's how I see this watch. One day, on my deathbed, it'll come to me, all shiny, polished, and serviced.
Was it really early on that you tried to change the bracelet? Because I feel like when I first seriously got into watches, that was something that always terrified me, like changing a bracelet or thinking that I was going to break it.
Yeah, I think I was too confident in thinking that I could change it, and just totally ruined it. It was really bad. Like, it was really bad. What about you? What was your first timepiece?
Mine's a little more, I think if you scour the forums a little bit and you, I don't know, just search topics like good first mechanical watch, it's one of the two big ones that gets recommended all the time. And I'm not exactly sure of the reference right now. We can put it in the show notes. But it's an Orient Blue Mako.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people will talk about that one or like a Seiko SKX.
Yeah.
And I just thought the Mako had a little more character. I think blue dials pull in a lot of new watch collectors as well. This is something nicer than what I've owned before, and you know, I like the fancy look, and it was sporty too, and I had that watch for, you know, years. I still have it, and it was like my wedding watch, and
Oh, really?
yeah, I still wear it at least like once a week. So
That's a great watch. And it's how much does it cost if you want to buy it new?
so new, I mean, like I bought it off Amazon, and it was like $160, maybe even less.
Jesus.
The models that Orient has now, they're a little fancier,
Right.
different colors, like nicer parts and construction. I still think they're around 200. We can check. I'm losing track of all the Makos personally.
Oh yeah.
But
They're just way too big. Like
that's a different story. So the one that I have, or I guess the modern version, is actually 325 on the Orient website,
really.
and the Mako USA is 375. So a little bit more for like a more aggressive look,
Right.
I think. But yeah, that was my first watch. It's funny with the bracelet too. I also kind of ruined the bracelet when I was changing it, and then I didn't know what to do with it. And I tried it out on leather. I think I had like a rubber strap for it at some point too. And then I got really frustrated with it, and I found somebody on Reddit that randomly wanted an Orient Mako bracelet, and I sold it for $10 or something.
Oh, really?
Just the bracelet. So somebody out there just wanted a Mako bracelet, and so yeah, I just have the watch head now, but it's, you know, it's like in your typical dive watch that's a lot of fun to switch with like NATO straps or leather and stuff like that, but it's usually on a nylon strap.
Yeah.
But that was my first, and that was also my first mechanical watch. So that's the one that I kind of learned the concept of, you know, keeping a movement powered and wound up and setting it when it dies and stuff like that. So that's also why it's pretty special.
Right. You know, I never had a quartz watch before I got my Speedmaster. I never had.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe as a kid, I had like a Casio that I had no connection to or ever wore. I think I can think of one that was like in a drawer in my house, but I never wore any quartz watch. Not for any snobbiness as a child, but it just never appealed to me until I was, you know, 20, 21.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it was college when I got into watches again, but I did have some, like, I had a calculator one that I lost, and I think a quartz fossil dive watch that I'll never forget. It was I think I was like in middle school, and there was a pretty serious kickball game, and the watch got destroyed.
Yeah, that'll happen.
So, but that's cool. Basically, 2 blue dial sports watches were what we chose for our first.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, now it's kind of like passé now, I think. The whole thing with the blue dials, like, I don't know if I'd pick it again. Like, it's been a little saturated.
Yeah.
But so is that Orient also your first under $500 choice for a watch?
No, the one that I was gonna bring up today is a little bit different, and it's kind of a cop out because I feel like when you try to do these lists,
I know exactly how you feel. I was like, I feel like I'm lying to myself and to anyone listening because there's so many options, but I did try to keep it to one that would be like the most broad appealing.
Yeah. But so the first option for under 500, yeah, that watch was under 500, and it's great if you're in that range. But this one that I'm going to bring up for my choice there is just a hair under 500, and I really wanted to not pick a Seiko because that's kind of easy. But this one was apparently just discontinued, and people are up in arms about it, and it's pretty popular. And I'm kind of excited to see what Seiko does, but it's the Seiko Sarb 017 Alpinist, the green dial. Have you seen those?
Yeah, let me open it up right now so I can. I see so many watches that it's really hard to. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one it's kind of different, you know, and I feel like beginners will get flooded with recommendations of Seiko dive watches.
Right.
And as appealing as a dive watch is, I don't think everybody wants one. Maybe somebody is, I don't know, they just want something nice for the office or when they go out or have like a cool event or whatever. But this is kind of I mean, the Alpinist has a pretty serious history for Seiko, and there's some really popular older models. There were even some GMT versions, but this one has stuck around for a while. It's got the 6R15 movement, and a popular retailer for this has it at 416 now.
416.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of personality for sure. You know.
Yeah. I like the cathedral hands.
Yeah.
Green and gold is kind of weird. I mean, I don't know what other watches you see that in.
It's got something like 80s about it in that style, but I think it's a really original choice if it's going to be your first watch, and it really says something about the person who would pick this to be their first watch. It's a non-conformist Seiko, which is actually pretty hard to come by, I think.
Mm-hmm.
How big is this? 38 or 40 millimeters?
Yeah. This is 38.
Yeah, thought so.
Yeah. This is 38. Also sapphire crystal. So when you're in the sub 500 range with Seiko, you get the hard Lex a lot of times.
But
this one actually has a screw down crown. A lot of the Sarb models don't. So yeah, that's what I picked. And the one thing about this watch is that I was actually pretty disgusted with it most of the time until until I handled one in person.
Really?
So it's a watch that photographs very poorly, especially if it's like stock photography that you're looking at on Amazon or something. It looks pretty terrible. But in person, it's a handsome watch.
Right. Well, I think the color green is kind of hard to convey in a tasteful way sometimes with like stock photography. Like it can look a little neon pukey, but
yes.
Yeah, no, that's a nice piece.
Yeah. One thing I think most people will probably recommend if you pick this one up, probably replace the strap because it's kind of like cardboard from what I hear.
Right.
Yeah. But that's not bad. You can probably get a strap and actually still be under $500.
I see a picture of it on a bracelet, and it looked really nice on a bracelet.
Yeah, those are actually pretty new. I think a lot of people, there was a demand for that, and then some of the popular like aftermarket manufacturers, I think Strap Code.
Really?
Yeah, they made like an oyster style and a jubilee style. So
looks nice.
Yeah, it does look sharp.
Yeah. That makes my pick seem pretty bland in comparison. I picked the Tissot Every Time, the Swissmatic watch that came out, I think, a few months ago. It's their, automatic dress watch, basically. Well, it's not a dress watch. I think it's more of an all-purpose, minimalist three-hander. But it's $395 for a Tissot with a automatic Swiss movement. Granted, it's about as much of a factory-made movement as you can, consider. But it's for someone who is about to graduate and is going to go on some job interviews and is not into like a fashion watch, but really is not in it enough to see all the Seikos that are out there and can get a little overwhelmed, but still wants like the name of Tissot that like a grandfather is going to be like, oh, nice. He's got some good taste now. You know, he's grown up.
Yeah.
He's got a taste.
Yeah.
So, it's not the most exciting piece, but I would want one in my collection if I was, 19 or 20.
Would you do black or white?
White.
Okay.
I think
I'm liking this black one.
Really? I like the white one. I've heard some people have complaints about the finishes. I've only seen it once, and I didn't get to spend a bunch of time with it, but you kind of get what you pay for. It's $400. It's safe. I think the movement actually is the same one that they use in the System 51, I believe. Oh, yeah. Or it's like they played with it a little bit, but I think it's the same movement for the most part. And that's a considerably cheaper watch, but, this is a step up if you want to be taken a little bit more seriously for, like, the corporate world.
Yeah, I have one of those System 51s and I don't wear it.
Yeah, it's not for me. The System 51 is just not for me. Like, I would just be like, okay, this is like a grown-up piece for kids.
Yeah. It's funny that you picked this this Tissot specifically, because a popular one is actually the Visa Date, and it's the same price. But that's the one you picked is, I think, a little more versatile.
Right.
It comes with a nylon strap, and I see them on leather and even bracelets.
The Visa Date, right?
Yeah, that one's pretty dressy though.
Right.
I think that one's maybe a dedicated dress watch.
I'm looking at it now on their site. Yeah, I think it's a little more old-fashioned in terms of its style as compared to the Every Time.
Yeah.
The Day Date. I think I prefer the Every Time, and this is a little pricier than that. Like, I think it's $675 for the Visa Date.
Oh, okay.
Which does push it out of the $500 category. So technically, it's the Every Time.
Sweet. And I see that they make date versions and no date versions, so you have that to choose from too.
Yeah. I'd go with the date, actually.
So then, I guess a barrier that people kind of consider for a while is breaking the $1,000 mark.
Yeah.
A lot of times when people are looking for advice, I think $500 or like $1,000 or $1,500 is a barrier that people put up for themselves, saying like, I can't spend more than this.
Yeah.
But getting over 1,000 is also a bit of a hurdle for a lot of people. Just the idea of spending that much on a watch, especially when probably all you've known is Casio calculator watches from your childhood. So the next price bracket is going to be kind of fun. Because I tried to pick one that was kind of as much bang for buck as you can get.
Oh yeah.
People say that a lot, but I don't know, do you think we should move on to that now?
Yeah. What do you got?
Okay, so this one has been pretty popular, and it's kind of almost gone the way of the Black Bay in terms of the number of models that you can get. Mm-hmm. But it's I think a little more subtle in its design. It's the Oris Diver 65, just the first one, the black dial. Came out maybe 2 years ago or something like that. And if you get it with the nylon strap that Oris supplies, probably not full MSRP. So maybe like a dealer, like a third-party dealer, will have it for just a little over 1,000, but definitely under 1,500. You can find this easily.
Yeah, this is a solid piece.
Yeah, I'm not into the larger ones that are 42.
Yeah, this is
Like the green ones, or they have like a Movember edition now. it's
really. How
it's
does that
getting
work?
I don't know. Somebody told me about it. And I looked it up last night, and it's like it's a 65 with like some sort of like copper colors to the dial, and it's a little weird. I'm not into it, but there is a Movember edition Oris Diver
I'm
65.
just opening it up right now. I want to see how much hair is on it.
That's what I imagined when somebody told me.
Movember edition. Oh, I mean, it's not bad looking. It's got, right, they took out some of the numerals and just got indices. Um, I kind of like the Movember.
Yeah,
I
you like
kind
the
of like the
Movember?
Movember. Oh, it's got a little stash on the strap. If you see, oh god, oh no.
It does. Where?
Yeah, look at the strap. At where the stitching is, and
Oh,
between the two
I see.
stitching, you'll see just a mustache.
That's very hip.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I guess it goes to charity.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Well, I'd pick just the regular black tile if you ask me.
Non-Movember, right, right.
Non-Movember.
November.
Sans the stash
Sand stash. And you said it's what? 1100, 1200
ish. Yeah.
ish, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have one of these, or am I making that up?
No, I don't have one.
You
I've
don't.
always thought of getting one, but I'm
Right.
kind of trying to cut back on the dive watches now. I think it is possible to have too many.
Yeah.
People will argue otherwise, but I think you can easily fall into the hole of just buying up a bucket of dive watches. And for 2018, I just want to be a little more methodical with what I pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's the safest and the most affordable type of like a vintage style watch that you can get. You
Yeah.
know, like there's like any chronograph that you find is gonna be, 3 or 4 grand that has like the same kind of like 60s styling.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I picked basically just a dive watch as well, but also an iteration of it that's not as much of a dive watch, which is the Alpina Sea Strong, and the Alpina Alpiner 4, which I'm not too familiar with, but they're basically the same case, same watch, same movement, but just a different style. So this watch replaced their outgoing. They had their Extreme Diver, I think it was called, a few years
Uh-huh.
ago, and people, were pretty infatuated with the Sea Strong as it came out, and it's a beautiful diver with like, the square case and the bezel, which creates, just that angled kind of like a gentle look to it without
Yeah.
being a knockoff or something that's just trying too hard. And it comes in a bunch of colors. I just love it. It's a beautiful, safe watch that you can basically wear forever. Like, I would never get bored of this piece. I think I'm gonna buy one. I don't really need another watch, which is the only thing keeping me from buying it. But
None of us do.
yeah, but like I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful piece. And yeah, it runs on, a decent movement. I think it's a modified Solida. They call it the AL 525. It's nothing special, but at this price point, you're not going to get, some amazing type of movement. But yeah, I just love it. what do you think of this piece?
I like it a lot. I like it might be a little bit big for what I'd look for.
It's 44. Yeah.
I have the other one open that you showed me. I think it's also 44.
Yeah, it's the same case size, the same movement. It's basically just
there it is.
Yeah.
I think the steel bezel makes it look a little bit smaller.
It does. I love that steel bezel on it. Yeah. But I don't know what I think of that 4 in red text on the Alpiner 4, right? Like it kind of makes me think of the Zin? Fantastic Four or like it's just like immediately what I think of when I see that. I'm just like, for what? And I think it's for like anti-magnetic, anti-shock, like stainless,
water resistant,
and water
resistant.
Yeah, it's just like arbitrary traits that can be applied to any watch at a certain price point. Like it's not really you guys that have those 4 things, which is kind of stupid. But you know what? It's a great watch. I love how it looks. For the price, I think it's tough to find something that has as much of a personality, and you know the finishings are great. I think they hit above the price. Alpina is a brand that it's not as hip as Oris is, but I think they've have made some great pieces in the past. It's a brand that I really love. They were picked up by Citizen a few years ago, right?
Yep.
And I think that's been pretty good for the brand, actually.
I think they need more attention, if you ask me.
You think so?
Yeah. I would like to see more from them.
Yeah.
I actually the watch that got me really excited was a really cheap quartz GMT that they did not long ago.
Right. It was really affordable, wasn't it? It was like
it's like 300 something. No, I mean 5 something.
Yeah. I think it was more than 5, but it was under 1,000.
Star Timer Pilot Quartz.
Right.
I see it. $5.95 on their website.
Right. Damn.
Yeah, that thing is cool. And actually, I don't think it has a seconds hand, so that's a little fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Star Timer Pilot Quartz. Oh yeah, that's a nice watch. $5.95.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah. We did keep the quartz watches out of this list, but if you're listening and you like this watch, just get it. You're not gonna hate it.
So then for the final pick, it's kind of just no rules. Then I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's prison rules.
I have a pretty boring one, and it's actually what I did not long ago. So after I moved here to Washington, I just told myself I was gonna buy a nice watch.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think not the most recent version that comes with like the crazy box and like the spacesuit and whatever you get. But the version before that, the Omega Speedmaster 3570.50, it actually doesn't hold its value really well at all on the used market. So I would probably be hunting for one of those again. If I wanted to go beyond 1,500 or just explore a different price range, because a Speedmaster brand new these days from the dealer is
55, right?
Yeah, they're getting up there.
Yeah, like it's between 5 and 6, closer to 6 now, I think.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's expensive, but I don't think it's the most outrageous pricing for...
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, like...
But I do think they're gonna keep raising the price.
Yep. That's definitely gonna happen.
And I just don't see the watch holding its value as much as something like, like a Daytona or a Rolex, like Submariner. So I think at least now, what I've observed on the used market, it's a pretty easy watch.
36.
Yeah, I actually got mine for around 2,700.
Oh,
maybe
really?
a little bit less. Yeah.
From where? Was that?
It was an independent dealer on Watch Recon. He's one of the crazier ones that
Right.
I researched. You have to research pretty heavily when you buy from just like an individual, but he does have a store online.
Yeah, I mean,
and then I serviced it, and it's like I think I'm still under 3,500 even after everything.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, my pick here is basically just an expansion of what you just said, which is find a piece that you're obsessed with, just get lost in it, and get a pre-owned watch that is either a model that's still in production, or it's a discontinued model, or it's a vintage piece. But I'm not going to get into that because that's this entirely other complicated issue. But if you go on Chrono24 or eBay, there's Omega Seamaster. I believe it's the 2254, the Seamaster Professional, and there's really good examples of it for under 2,500, around 2,500, and like with box and papers in good condition. It's an amazing watch. It's beautiful. I think it's a great looking piece from Omega. I think it's gonna last forever. You can't buy a new one on this budget. Obviously, I think the cheapest Seamasters are $4 something, I believe, for the non-quartz models.
Jeez.
I just got a Planet Ocean, the time only model, not the incredibly fat chronograph. And I think the Planet Ocean start at something like 65, and the Seamaster Professional there's something like 45.
That is a very fat chronograph, by the way.
I was offended at how fat that chronograph was. I loved it when I first saw it, and I was like, good God, I could not open a door with this without just banging it on everything. It is so thick.
And it is stainless steel too, right?
Yeah. They make it in titanium as well. If you want to pay like 15 grand for a hockey puck that weighs absolutely nothing on your wrist, so you don't even know what you're slamming it into.
Oh man.
Yeah, but so there's the 2254. There's the Speedmaster automatic models, which are even cheaper. I know it's not the Moonwatch, but it's it looks the same. It's more convenient. It's a little smaller. It's your first watch. You don't have to have the Moonwatch if you can't afford the $3,000 plus, but you can get the automatic for something between like 1,900 and 2,600 is what I've seen. And it's a solid first watch. And then you can sell it and get the professional if that's what you want.
Yeah, I think they call it the reduced.
The reduced, that's it. Yeah, it always makes me think of like a diet plan or some kind of like tea that makes you lose weight.
Yeah, no, the reduced gets a lot of hate though. I think.
Why is that? I know it does, and I've never quite understood why there's so much hate for it. Like, is it just because?
I think people have a huge problem with the subdials, like how they're really spaced apart compared to the professional. But I actually kind of like it. You can get it smaller also, so if you want to go under the 42, I think they have one, and there are a ton of different versions.
Right.
They have like Panda versions.
I think it doesn't come in the 42 at all, right? I think it comes in 40 or like 39 and a half, I think is the size.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's what it is. Like, it doesn't come in a larger size than that. Because the one that I have, the triple date, is in the same case size. and it's 39.5, which is pretty
I didn't know it was that small.
But you think about it, it's the same size as like a Daytona.
Yeah,
Like,
I still can't get over how tiny Daytonas look.
they are really, really tiny. It's, you know, it's too small for me, and they're never gonna make it bigger. So
yeah. Well, this, I mean, I would definitely go for something like the Speedmaster Reduced.
Yeah.
Like you said, probably somebody that's getting a first mechanical watch. Maybe they're not going to be into like something they have to wind every day.
Exactly.
Also,
exactly.
that's another big deal. And like you said, it's cheaper and they sell all the time.
There's so many of them. I mean, it's like,
yeah, there really are a ton of them.
there's a ton.
But that Seamaster that you mentioned first, actually, I look at Chrono 24 now, and they're still pretty affordable. But I remember I was looking at these maybe like a couple years ago, and they were less. So like they are going up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see one that's like with the box and papers. I think they're like around like 2,500 is what I'm seeing. How much were they a couple of years ago? Can you?
I feel like I was seeing some for under 2, not
really?
way under 2, but definitely around like 1,900, something like that.
Right.
But the 2254, that series has a lot of cool little versions. I don't know if the quartz ones follow the same reference. One day I really want one of the quartz ones.
Oh, yeah.
Even though
Really?
we're not supposed to talk about quartz, but
hey,
I love the
wild card.
Yeah, I love the one that Pierce Brosnan's worn. He wore in GoldenEye.
Oh yeah,
the quartz one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember in the N64 game, there's a level where you take the watch and it shoots like a laser beam, and you cut the floor off this train that you're stuck in.
Yep,
that was awesome.
That might have been the watch that got me into watches.
Really?
in the N64 version.
Yeah.
'Cause you do everything with it. You hit start, you pause the game, and you look into the watch.
You're
Oh
right.
man, it's so cool.
You're right. Oh man, that game was so good, but probably so bad if you play it now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
And,
but yeah, that's those are some good picks, I think.
Yeah, and you know, a third one that I also wanted to mention was there's a lot of cool aqua timers from IWC for, you know, under $3,000 that are really interesting pieces. Like, I'm looking at one that is for sale from Feldmar here in Los Angeles. It's the reference 3548, and it's for $2,700. I mean, I would buy this watch right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's on a ball strap, which is a little awkward because it just says the name Ball right there on the buckle.
That's fine.
They're just keeping it interesting.
Right. These are actually my favorite aqua timers. I'm not really into like the newer, like chunkier ones.
Me neither.
I like this case style with the twin crowns, and I think the first Cousteau one that they did was like this too. But it was they had another version that was like the same color scheme without the Cousteau name attached to it.
Yeah.
But this is the aqua timer is one of those things where they just made a ton of them, and now there are a bunch of updated ones, and you can just get these really old ones for way cheap.
Yeah. And they're solid pieces. I think they're really, really cool looking, and I have no complaints about these older ones.
So if you had to pick one out of basically all of the ranges that you explored, would you think it would be the most expensive one, or what? Out
of the three pieces that I just talked about, the Speedmaster, the Seamaster, and the Aqua Timer?
Yep.
The Seamaster. I think you can get something solid for under $3,000. I would go with that. Like, if I was looking for something in the 2,500 range, I would get that. Definitely.
Yeah, it's also a good way to explore. I think the not only a good first watch, but a good first chronograph. I think, which is another sort of stepping stone in the gradual insanity of collecting watches. You know, when you graduate to like a chronograph, I guess if you didn't start out with one, it's kind of a milestone if you're collecting mechanicals and all that business. So
that's a whole different conversation, Michael.
Yeah,
your first chronograph.
It's a solid choice, I think.
All three of them are great, and there's a bunch of offerings from like Breitling. There's a lot of cool Seikos out there. There's a lot of King Seikos that are cool. You can really get lost in like the forums and the blogs, like aBlogtoWatch, and spend hours and days, but it's worth it. And if you do your homework, you can find a really cool piece for a price that you would not ordinarily get such a quality piece for. And you can't afford the newer models. So
speaking of, we talked about some pre-owned stuff. Does box and papers really matter to you?
You know, if it's from a third party and they have their own process of like making sure that it's, you know, not going to be all screwy and fucked up when you get it, I'm fine with that. The box ends up in my closet somewhere. If it's a really good price and if it's a watch I really want, I would not care about the box. The papers, if it's from an individual seller, I would feel better with the papers. The box I couldn't care less about, but a reputable authorized third-party dealer, I would be fine with their own process. I'd feel a little odd about purchasing something from someone who's just like some guy and he doesn't have the papers or anything, because yeah, same. I wouldn't let it get in the way of a good deal, but just like if it was, I mean, like a guy on eBay or something, I'd want to see something. Yeah, if I could talk him down because there's no papers, and then the worst case I could get it fixed because it's that much of a good deal, then maybe, yeah. But if it's your first watch, don't get that confident. Play it safe. Cool. Well, I think we can probably do a quick recap and then, probably sign off because I think we're getting close to that time. Sounds good. So we talked about our first watches. You had that awesome pointer date chronograph from Omega. Yep. Blue dial. And I had a blue dial Mako. Explored some options under 500, like the Seiko Alpinist that's going to be discontinued soon. Some cool dive watches from Alpina, the Oris Diver 65. And we're going to put all this stuff in the show notes within the YouTube description. And with kind of like the wild cards, it was just I guess just a method of exploration, going on Chrono 24 and thinking of watches that maybe you can't really afford right now, but finding versions from the brand that are just like a little bit cheaper. Yeah, I think it's interesting to point out that we both did not pick a new watch for the wild card choice. No, yeah. Like, because if you're gonna get wild, get wild. That's true. Get wild. If we're gonna get wild, get wild. No, yeah, and there's, I mean, and we both pick stuff from Omega, but there are just so many brands that have discontinued models that are just like forgotten these days. I think a ton of those Speedmaster reduced models, like I feel like I see one pop up like every few weeks, and I'm just like, I've never seen this version before. And some people, the Schumachers are really cool. There's some of those that are really great values too. That's true. Yeah. And there's a lot of Zen watches that we could talk about. I mean, you just need to get lost and find what you love, because it's going to be about your personal taste at this point. Yeah. And I think maybe if you're exploring
past like $2,000, maybe you've comfortably like collected some stuff already, and you're comfortable with like hunting online and, you know, figuring out which places are good and which places not so much. So yeah, I would definitely say try to find something pre-owned or make a cool connection with like a local third-party dealer. You guys have some awesome ones in LA.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous.
What's the last pre-owned watch that you bought?
It was that Speedmaster. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Because I don't think I've actually bought one since I bought my Speedmaster. Like a pre-owned watch. Like, I'm always hunting and looking, but I feel like I'm perpetually just in the hunt. I'm just like, I just want to get like the best deal on like one of like 8 pieces that I'm obsessed with.
It's
dangerous.
Slope.
It's really dangerous. Like, I've already got like a bunch of tabs open. Like, it's getting bad.
Yeah, I'm trying something for 2018. I want to buy one watch.
Really?
And,
do you know what that watch is?
We've talked about it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have it, but I want a different version.
What are you talking about?
It's that Explorer 2.
Oh, right. So you want to get the white dial model?
Yeah.
The polar
I
dial.
like that white dial. Yeah.
I love my Explorer 2. It's the most underrated piece from Rolex, I think. I
agree. And I want it to stay a secret because I feel like people are still really upset about that watch being 42 millimeters, and it's almost,
which is like, shut up, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, people are bigger now. We need bigger watches, and it's not offensively large. Like, what? Come on.
No, it's still good. Even in the white dial, which will pop a little bit more on your wrist, it doesn't feel ridiculous or anything. Right. And I have too many black dial watches anyway, so that would be cool.
Yeah.
Just have to be pretty disciplined if I'm going to make that the one watch for 2018. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm not sure why it's not so popular, but there's some good deals on it online from what I'm seeing. So,
yes, there are.
Good luck to you with that.
Well, is it a good time to wrap it up and say goodbye?
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of Spending Time. My name is Michael.
Bilal here.
Take care.
Take care, guys.